This is the draft board where I'm going to get really passionate because this is the one where I'm very passionate as somebody that's followed the Atlanta Falcons for years now, a loyal follower of the Atlanta Falcons. For nearly, well, for nearly a decade and a half have I followed this Atlanta Falcons team. And just realizing that how close they are to winning a Super Bowl, how close they were to winning a Super Bowl. 2017 should be considered a disappointment for the Atlanta Falcons, despite being the only team in the NFC that's made the playoffs 2 years in a row. Or in easier terms, the only team that made the playoffs this year that made it last year in the NFC. Being the only team in that NFC conference that made the playoffs this year and last year. It's still quite embarrassing on how the Falcons were just 16 to 18 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl. If they would have just ran the ball in the fourth quarter, they would have won Super Bowl 51. And just completely just losing it in the division round against the Eagles with a backup quarterback in Nick Foles. And this is just another year where Falcons fans like myself have to go over the what if. What if the Falcons would have beaten the Eagles? Because going into that divisional round, I had said the magic number for the Falcons to win week in and week out is 24, considering the Falcons' defense only gave up more than 24 points one time this season. And for a team that has a defense that only allows on average less than 24, 24 could have been the magic number for the Falcons. It just almost lays out the what if. Because even though the Falcons lost 23-7, the defense was keeping Atlanta in all the games this year. The offense just couldn't deliver when it mattered. Couldn't deliver in the losses they had. Think losing to teams like Buffalo and Miami. Those were games where the offense couldn't generate points. And in the division run against the Eagles. The mentality there is score 21, 24 points and you win that game. So 2017 should be disappointing for the Falcons. But they have the 26 picks, so that's what this video is mainly about. So as you can see in the draft behind me, the Falcons have pick number 26 in the NFL draft. And I apologize that my 26 doesn't look right. I'm just doing these draft board clips pretty fast. I just want to get them out there for the combine starts before free agency begins. I'm just in a hurry. But as you can see, I have 4 things right here. And it's not going to come down to these 4, I don't think. But I'm thinking the Falcons will go wide receiver, maybe in the second round, because I'm guessing that Taylor Gabriel's not going to be back. And here's what I think the pick's going to be. I think the pick's going to be defensive tackle. The pick needs to be an offensive guard. Depending on which offensive linemen are still available at this point in the draft. Although the Falcons have a history of trading up in the draft. They did it last year to get Takk McKinley. But what I think the pick's going to be, I think it's going to be a defensive tackle. Because they are going to lose. There's a possibility that they're going to lose Adrian Claiborne in free agency. Dontari Poe is definitely going to be gone. So they need somebody that's going to complement Grady Jarrett. And with Vic Beasley going back to the defensive end position. Just think of that front 4. Just think of a front 4 with Vic Beasley, Grady Jarrett, Takk McKinley, and maybe someone like Vita Vea out of Washington. I think if the Falcons are going to trade up for somebody, it will be Vita Vea, the defensive end of Washington. Although a lot of people are speculating Vita Vea is going to be taken by that point. I think if Vita Vea still is there at 26, I think that's the pick there for the Falcons, is Vita Vea. But offensive guard is the second biggest thing. Because the offensive line, they got beat more times this year than they did in 2016. So the offensive line kind of deteriorated this year. and a safety is the third biggest need, I think. I think they'll go with a safety probably in the third round. In fact, if I want to, since the Falcons are my team and they're a team that I followed for, if I followed for nearly about 11 to 12 years, what I think the picks should be, I think the first round they'll go defensive tackle. I think the second round they'll go wide receiver, depending on which kind of wide receiver they can choose from. Whether or not they can choose from Anthony Miller or even DJ Moore or even Traquan Smith at a UCF. I think if one of those three is still there, I think that'll be the Falcons' second round pick. If not, I think they will. I think they'll go offensive guard. And then I think they'll go safety in the third or fourth round. And that's pretty much mapping out those four big needs. Because you just got to look at what they're probably going to be losing for agency. I'm convinced Taylor Gabriel is not going to be on the Falcons next year. Now, even Julio Jones is in his prime. He's still going to get up there in age eventually. So you need to find a wide receiver to complement Julio Jones. Mohamed Sanu is great, but he's not an elite wide receiver. So to assess all this, I think the pick more than likely is going to be defensive tackle at pick number 26. I think the pick might be Vita Vea out of Washington. That's someone that I'm really keeping my eyes out for once we get to the combine and we get to these pro days and everything like that. But the Falcons have a history of trading up, and it wouldn't surprise me if they maybe traded up with Buffalo to 22. So that's what I think the pick's going to be, defensive tackle.